At the last minute before the application deadline, when Yusi changed her choice from Huazhong University to Peking University, after turning off the computer, she seemed to have resolved a major issue, until she leaned back in her chair and accidentally looked at the photo of 3 people on the table. In the photo, 3 people stood at the gate of Huazhong University, when Yusi stuck out her tongue funny, and Pei Yanqi and Song Xingya were on her left and right. Pei Yanqi's cold eyes were always staring at her, with a doting smile between his eyebrows. Song Xingya put his arm around her shoulders carelessly, resting his chin on the top of her head, looking at her with a domineering possessiveness. When Yusi laughed at herself and tore off the slightly yellowed sticky note on the photo, it read, "When Yusi, Pei Yanqi, and Song Xingya are going to Huazhong University together." The firm strokes were still clear after a long time. She tore up the sticky note without hesitation and threw it into the trash can. "Pei Yanqi, Song Xingya, I won't go with you this time. From now on, you will go your own way, and I will go my own way." Ding dong, the phone on the table suddenly rang. When Yusi picked it up and found that there was a new message in the group chat of When Yusi and the 2 childhood friends who will spoil her for the rest of her life. It was obviously a group chat name for 3 people, but at this moment, there were 4 people in the group. 3 weeks ago, he sent a message in the group. "Yeah, I checked my grades, and I'm sure I'll be admitted to Hua University. I'm so happy. I can continue to be classmates with Ake, Xingya and Yusi in the future. I hope you can give me more advice." Although he said so, the names followed by the name of Pei Yanqi and Song Xingya were only Pei Yanqi and Song Xingya. Pei Yanqi replied immediately, "As long as you need me, I will always be by your side." At the first time, Song Xingya continued, "Me too. On the first day of school, the whole school will know that you are protected by me." When Yusi pulled his lips sarcastically and continued to scroll down the screen, 2 weeks ago, it was Pei Yanqi and Song Xingya who sent it. Today, Pei Yanqi bought a luxury laptop and tagged He. "This is a gift for the beginning of the school year. Did you receive it? If you don't know how to use it, I'll teach you." Tomorrow, Song Xingya will buy a newest mobile phone. "Xiao He, your current phone is too old. Use the newest model I bought for you." He was deeply moved and sent several crying emoticons in the group. "The gifts you sent are too expensive. I don't deserve them." The 2 of them sent the same message at the same time. "You are very good and deserve everything." Then, they discussed enthusiastically in the group and wanted to hold a banquet for He to celebrate, from beginning to end. When Yusi didn't say a word, no one paid attention to her. She was obviously an important member of this group, but she was like an outsider for no reason. And today, the screen was filled with a bunch of photos sent by He. Pei Yanqi and Song Xingya surrounded He in the center of the banquet hall. In the grand banquet hall, gift boxes were piled up into a small mountain. He in the photo smiled sweetly, like a little princess who was loved by thousands. After sending the photo, she specially tagged When Yusi in the group. "Yusi, are you really not coming? The banquet prepared by Ake and Xingya for me is really grand. I am so happy." When Yusi didn't want to reply until she saw the dress she was wearing and the jewelry on her neck, she typed with a gloomy face, He, where did your clothes and jewelry come from?" After a few seconds, He sent a string of voice messages. "Oh, I forgot to tell you, I don't have a dress, and I thought you must have a lot. So I took advantage of your absence to choose a dress and some jewelry in your cloakroom." The charming voice was accompanied by a hint of smile, and the lively blessings could be heard around. When Yusi felt her anger rising all of a sudden, and said in disbelief, "How did you know my password? Taking something without asking is considered stealing. Don't you understand?" Before she sent out the message for a second, Pei Yanqi and Song Xingya's messages were all over the screen. And they began to speak in the group to defend Yusi, "You are not such a stingy person. It's just a piece of clothing and some jewelry. I can compensate you at most." "Yeah. Why do you say such harsh words? How could Xiaohe steal things? She only went to your house because she has a good relationship with you. In the future, the 4 of us will go to Hua University together. We are all classmates. Why do we have to make such a fuss? Just give it to her." The 2 of them were scolding her one by one, and then everyone transferred money, saying that they would compensate her for her losses. When Yusi was so angry that her chest rose and fell, and the bright group name on the phone screen now seemed to be mocking her. She, Pei Yanqi, and Song Xingya were childhood sweethearts and grew up together. When they were 3 years old, they just met, and they held the little girl tightly in their arms and refused to let go. wishing to take her home to raise her. When she was 6 years old, Wen Yuxi loved to drink a certain brand of yogurt, so Pei Yanxie bought all the yogurt on the street and gave it to her. Song Xingye even asked his family to buy the factory and supply it exclusively for her in the future. When she was 13 years old, there was a fire in the Wen family. Wen's father and mother were on a business trip, and only Wen Yuxi was trapped inside, when no one dared to go in. It was the young Pei Yanxie and Song Xingye who rushed in without hesitation. To this day, the scars of the burns at that time are still on their chests. When she was 15 years old, Wen Yuxi had her first menstrual period. When Pei Yanxie learned about it, he immediately skipped the Olympic competition and rushed back overnight. Song Xingye was so anxious that he boiled brown sugar for her and covered her stomach, and he was heartbroken. Over the years, they always stayed by her side. One on the left and one on the right, like two brave knights, not allowing any boys to approach her. On her 17th birthday, both of them confessed to her. Wen Yuxi couldn't choose, and didn't want to fall in love too early. Just when she was about to make up her mind to refuse, they immediately grabbed her hands, stopped her from saying anything to refuse, and humbly said to give her some time to think about it, and wait until the first day of college before giving an answer. Wen Yuxi didn't want to hurt anyone, so she had to agree first. She thought she would figure out her feelings during this time, until He appeared. He was one of the poor students sponsored by the Wen family. Because of her good grades, she was able to transfer to Wen Yuxi's high school. She approached her step by step under the pretext of thanking Wen Yuxi. At the beginning, Wen Yuxi often took care of her because she felt sorry for her. She said she couldn't afford to eat, so Wen Yuxi often swiped his meal card to take her out to eat. She said she couldn't keep up with the progress, so Wen Yuxi sacrificed his time to teach her how to do the questions. She said she had no friends, so Wen Yuxi took her to meet Pei Yanxie and Song Xingye. But she didn't expect that in just 3 months, He took the time to replace her step by step. Similar things to today have happened countless times in this year. The group was still persuading them, watching them defend He and blame themselves word by word. Wen Yuxi was so angry that she laughed. Seeing the sentence 4 people are going to Hua University, she typed a few words with her fingertips, only you 3, paused for a moment, then deleted it. She accepted their transfer. And then tagged He. Okay, I'll give it to you, not only the skirt and jewelry, but also these 2 childhood friends, I'll give them all to you. After Wen Yuxi replied, she immediately changed the password of the door, then she began to clear all the memories related to Pei Yanxie and Song Xingye in the house. She collected many ornaments and dolls on the shelf and threw them into a box. Unknowingly, the things had filled up a full box. When she carried the box downstairs and threw it into the trash can, she happened to run into Pei Yanxie and Song Xingye, who came back from the banquet. They saw the 2 veils in the trash can almost at first sight, when they were playing house with Wen Yuxi when they were young. Both of them wanted to be her groom and almost had a fight. In the end, Wen Yuxi had to accept both veils, and they were not so hostile, but they still said that when they get married in the future, the veil of the other person must be thrown away. At that time, Wen Yuxi just blinked her eyes. How do you know that I will definitely marry one of you when I grow up? The 2 people exploded instantly and said that they must choose one of them. Now seeing Wen Yuxi throw it away, not only that, she actually threw away everything related to them. The 2 people immediately rushed forward. Song Xingye was an extrovert. He held her hand tightly and said in disbelief, "Why did you throw away the things we gave you? Are you still angry about what happened just now?" "Yes, we did tell Xiaohe the password to your front door, but aren't you friends? We thought it would be okay to tell her. Even if she took your things, we transferred the money. Didn't you take the money?" Pei Yanxie was cold and reserved. His tone was trembling at this moment. "Yuxi, it's just a small matter. You can be angry, but why do you want to throw things away? Do you have to do it so hard?" She was so hard to throw away their things, they were broken. What if she told them that she had changed her college entrance examination application without telling them, just to leave them forever? Wouldn't they go crazy? "I'm not angry, but these things are moldy, so of course they have to be thrown away." She spoke in a calm tone, looking at their eyes calm as water. "Are you really not angry?" the 2 said in unison. Wen Yuxi shook her head. "No, after all, these 2 people have nothing to do with her in the future, so why should she be angry?" Song Xingye breathed a sigh of relief when he heard this. Pei Yanxie's eyebrows also relaxed. "Since it's moldy, it's better to throw it away. We will buy you a new one in the future." She didn't say anything, just hummed. Turned away indifferently, looking at her back. Song Xingye still saw something wrong. He knew that Wen Yuxi was saying one thing and thinking another. and scratched his hair a little irritably, looked at Pei Yenche, and raised his chin impatiently. Do you want to coax her? Pei Yenche lowered his eyes, unable to see the deep meaning in his eyes. You go. His voice was cold. Song Xingye just took a step forward, but he paused for some reason. Forget it. She has to make a choice on the first day of school. If she is still angry, I will explain Inhe's matter to her then.
Yeah.
Pei Yenche nodded, and the two went back to their own homes. For several days in a row, Pei Yenche and Song Xingye did not come to see Wen Yuxi. Through Inhe's uninterrupted circle of friends, Wen Yuxi knew that they had been accompanying Inhe to complete her wish list after graduation, the amusement park she had never been to, the curious planetarium, the Great Wall that she could only see in books. They took Inhe to experience them one by one. Wen Yuxi looked at them one by one, and even had the mood to give a thumbs up, until this day. She received the admission letter from Peking University. As soon as she put away the admission letter, Pei Yenche and Song Xingye knocked on her door together. Yuxi, our admission letters have arrived. Has yours arrived? Let's go get them together. When Yuxi's expression was indifferent, in her eyes, which were always gentle, there was only indifference now. No need, mine has been delivered. She was about to close the door after she finished speaking. Pei Yenche quickly grabbed the door with his hand. Wait, I booked a private room, let's have a meal together to celebrate. Song Xingye also stopped him and agreed. After eating, let's go buy some school supplies together. Wen Yuxi didn't want to go, but the two refused to leave and refused to let her close the door. She had no choice but to nod and agree, following them into a hot pot restaurant. The spicy smell penetrated her nose. Wen Yuxi subconsciously rubbed her nose and her eyes were a little red. At the reserved seat, Inhe was already serving the dishes. You are finally here, the pot is boiling, I have been waiting for you for a long time. Seeing Inhe, Wen Yuxi subconsciously frowned. Song Xingye hurriedly explained, Yuxi, Xiaohe said she also wanted to buy supplies, so we asked her to go with us. Pei Yenche took a closer look at her expression and said again, we will be classmates in the future. So I just want to take care of her more. When Yuxi didn't want to listen to any more explanations, she just wanted to finish her meal quickly, buy things and go home quickly, but she couldn't eat a single bite when she sat at the table. There were so many peppers in a red soup pot that Inhe enjoyed it. But when Yuxi had stomach problems since she was a child and couldn't eat spicy food, after eating a few bites reluctantly, her stomach was burning with pain. She called the waiter to add a few dishes, but Inhe grabbed the menu as soon as she got it and added a few more spicy dishes. Pei Yenche and Song Xingye also looked at her with a smile, completely forgetting that when Yuxi couldn't eat spicy food, when Yuxi could see that Inhe was doing it on purpose. She didn't resist like before, and then the two childhood friends started to defend Inhe and blame her. She was tired of this trick. So she just drank water silently without saying a word. When going to the mall to buy the necessary items for the start of school, when Yuxi walked back and forth in the winter clothing area and chose several thick clothes, Pei Yenche noticed it and reminded her, Hua University is in this city, and it's spring all year round. You don't need these thick clothes, you don't need to buy them. Hua University. She wasn't going to Hua University, she didn't explain, and said perfunctorily, well, I know. These clothes look okay, and you can wear them when you go out for travel. Pei Yenche frowned slightly, moved his lips, but still said nothing. On the way back, Inhe hesitated for a long time before pulling the sleeves of Song Xingye and Pei Yenche. Xingye, Pei Che, can I not go back? She bit her lip, her eyes slightly drooping with tears. The slum where I live has been in bad order recently. I'm scared and worried every time I go back. As she spoke, she looked up at Song Xingye and Pei Yenche pleadingly. Of course, you can come live at my house. I have many rooms, you can choose whatever you want. Song Xingye softened for a moment and promised generously. Pei Yenche also said, softly, you can live at my house for a while, it's safe. Inhe couldn't stop smiling instantly, thanked her repeatedly, and glanced at Wen Yuxi inconspicuously. Thank you, you are so nice to me, I haven't lived in such a good house yet. Wen Yuxi leaned against the car window, turned a deaf ear, and looked aimlessly into the distance. It doesn't matter where Inhe lives, it has nothing to do with her. The next morning, Wen Yuxi received a call from Wen's father and mother. Yuxi, have you really decided not to go to Hua University? Although Peking University is better, didn't you, Yenche, and Xingye agree to go to the same school? These two guys have been clinging to you since they were young. They can't stand you disappearing for an hour. If they knew you changed schools, wouldn't they go crazy? When Yuxi smiled, that's their business. it has nothing to do with me. I did want to go to Hua University because of the agreement, but Peking University has a major I like more. This is my life. I can choose it myself." Hearing this, Wen's father and mother didn't persuade him anymore, but just nagging a few words with concern. "In this case, you should stay at home alone for this period of time. When we are done with our business trip, we will come back to accompany you. By the way, the school gift your parents bought for you has arrived. Remember to pick it up, okay?" "Thank you, Dad." "Thank you, Mom." When Yusi hung up the phone with a smile, and then opened the text messages on her mobile phone, sure enough, she found that the courier had indeed sent her a pickup reminder 10 minutes ago. "The courier is at the door. Please sign for it." She hurriedly got up to open the door, but found that there was nothing at the door. Just when she was full of doubts and wanted to call the courier, he suddenly came out of Pei Yenshe's house and shook the things in her hand. "Yusi, are you looking for this?" And what she was shaking in her hand was a violin. "I just saw a courier at your door, so I helped you open it. Is this a gift from your parents? What a beautiful violin. I also want to have one. Can you give it to me?" As she spoke, she touched the violin in her hand with shining eyes and refused to let go. When Yusi had never seen such a person without a sense of boundaries, and for a moment she almost suspected that she had heard it wrong. "Hasn't anyone told you not to open other people's things casually? If you like it so much, can't you buy it yourself?" Hearing this, Inhe's eyes instantly turned red and she sobbed. You know my family can't afford it. Why do you humiliate me like this?" When Yusi didn't have time to watch Inhe's performance, and was too lazy to talk to her, so she reached out to take the violin. Inhe held the violin tightly, looking very fond of it, and refused to let go. During the struggle, no one knew who let go first, and the beautifully shiny violin fell to the ground with a thud. The perfect violin body cracked an ugly crack, which was very conspicuous. When Yusi couldn't help but get angry, Inhe, hearing the noise, Pei Yenshe walked out quickly. Song Xingye next door heard the noise and rushed out immediately. When the two rushed out, what immediately caught their eyes was Inhe's little face with tears in her eyes. They ran to her together. "What's wrong? You were fine just now." "Who bullied you?" she sniffed, her voice clearly crying. "Don't blame Yusi. She accidentally dropped the violin she just bought. She should be sad. I suddenly appeared, so she got angry at me and pushed me, but I'm not angry. As long as she can be happier, I'm willing to do anything." She dropped the violin. She got angry at Inhe to vent her anger and pushed her. She could understand every word Inhe said, but when they were combined, there were only two words left in her mind: ridiculous. It was really ridiculous. She thought Inhe was just a green tea, but she didn't expect that she could be so corrupt and turn black into white. Before she could speak, Song Xingye immediately frowned and scolded When Yusi, even if you want to act like a big lady, you don't do it like this. Apologize to Xiaohe." Pei Yenshe also coldly echoed, "Yusi, you really went too far. Apologize quickly." When Yusi's temples were throbbing with anger, and she tried her best to control her emotions. "I apologize." "Pei Yenshe, Song Xingye, there are surveillance cameras in this corridor. Do you want to see what the real situation is?" Hearing this, Inhe immediately became anxious and cried even harder. "Yenshe, Xingye, don't blame Yusi. I'm really fine. You stand up for me like this, and I can't be friends with Yusi in the future." Hearing this, Pei Yenshe immediately took out a tissue and gently wiped the tears from her face, and patted her back. "It's okay, it's not your fault. Stop crying, dear." Song Xingye looked at When Yusi coldly. "Look at what you did, and then look at what Xiaohe did. The difference is obvious." After that, the two of them protected Inhe, who was crying, and turned away without looking back. Looking at their backs, when Yusi felt that her chest was suffocated, she could only tell herself over and over again, "It will be soon. Soon she will not meet these three people, and she will have nothing to do with them." 3 days later, it was the class reunion that was originally scheduled. As soon as When Yusi arrived, many classmates looked behind her curiously, and then their eyes were full of disappointment. "Yusi, why didn't the school hunk and the school bully come? Don't they follow you wherever you are?" "Yes, I heard that you all got admitted to Hua University. On the first day of school, you have to choose between Pei Yenshe and Song Xingye. Have you decided who to choose?" Before When Yusi opened her mouth, several classmates who usually targeted her rushed to answer. "Who to choose? Is there still a chance for her?" When Yusi, to choose Pei Yenshe and Song Xingye like Inhe more now? Why are you still asking her this? Don't you understand yet? The group laughed and waited to see When Yusi's reaction. I thought she would be angry, but unexpectedly, she didn't say a word, and didn't even look at them. The group was frustrated, but they continued to mock and remained silent. At this time, The door of the box was pushed open, and Pei Yenche and Song Xingye, one on the left and one on the right, like two knights protecting Yinhe, pushed the door in. The group hurriedly looked at Wen Yuxi and started laughing again. Nowadays, even the school idols don't like her anymore. I don't know what's so cool about her. She's not cool at all, she's a lost dog. Look at her, she looks like a dog. The monitor wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and tried to smooth things over. Everyone is here, let's start the party. At the party, everyone was noisy. Pei Yenche carefully took off his coat and put it on Yinhe. It's cold here, wear more. Song Xingye sat unrestrainedly, playing with the fruit knife in his hand. After a few swipes, the fruit peels fell neatly into the trash can. After a while, a bowl of fruit appeared in front of Yinhe. He said lazily, eat more fruit and drink less. They took care of Yinhe very considerately, considering what happened last time. They didn't even look in Wen Yuxi's direction. Wen Yuxi sat in the corner, eating calmly, and her expression was full of indifference. In the middle of the game, someone started to make a noise about playing Truth or Dare. Wen Yuxi didn't want to participate, but was forced to join. After playing a few rounds, Wen Yuxi lost. Come on, it's Wen Yuxi's turn to share secrets with everyone. Secret. Wen Yuxi chuckled in her heart, her eyes passing over Pei Yenche and Song Xingye. Then she said lightly, my secret is, on the first day of school, I will throw away two things. Everyone didn't hear the deep meaning in Wen Yuxi's words, and they were a little uninterested. This is not a secret. What kind of secret is throwing things away? You barely got through this game, don't be so perfunctory next time. She nodded, but didn't explain, but unfortunately, it was Wen Yuxi who lost the next game. For a while, everyone in the box was making a noise. Yuxi, I can't let you off so easily this time. Let's think of a difficult one, why not ask Pei Yenche and Song Xingye, who would you choose as your boyfriend? As soon as this question came out, everyone in the box poked their heads out to wait for the answer. Pei Yenche nervously drank water several times in a row, and Song Xingye was no less nervous, clenching his fists tightly, not letting go for a moment. Wen Yuxi glanced at them, a little surprised that they were now full of Yinhe, and they were still nervous about her answer. She sneered, both. Ah. Before Wen Yuxi finished speaking, Yinhe exclaimed. Everyone looked back and saw that Yinhe accidentally spilled wine on her body, and the wine instantly wet her collar. After the pure white skirt was wet, it stuck tightly to her skin, and the outline of her underwear was vaguely visible. Pei Yenche and Song Xingye's faces changed slightly. One of them quickly pulled Yinhe's coat tight, and the other quickly cleared a path and led her to change clothes. The game was forced to be interrupted. Without the focus of the topic, everyone lost the desire to continue playing. Some people whispered that they wanted to leave. The class monitor hurriedly called everyone, don't leave yet. The teacher has bought a lot of fireworks. Let's all go to the river to set them off to congratulate us on our new journey. Hearing this, the person who whispered that he wanted to leave just now fell silent, after waiting for a long time. Yinhe was protected by Pei Yenche and Song Xingye in the middle and came late. She was wearing a layered pink princess dress, which was bought by Pei Yenche, and the crystal shoes on her feet were inlaid with diamonds, which were priceless in the market. They were given by Song Xingye. Her dazzling appearance was like a delicate little princess. Everyone whispered to each other, and they all made envious sounds in surprise. You know, this skirt and this pair of shoes are both new high-end products from C. Only Wen Yuxi took a quick glance and didn't pay any more attention. The group went to set off the fireworks in a lively manner. The gorgeous fireworks bloomed in the dark sky, and almost everyone was silently making wishes. Only Yinhe shouted loudly towards the river, I hope Pei Yenche and Song Xingye's wishes can come true. Hearing this, Pei Yenche's eyes, which were always indifferent, couldn't help but be moved. Song Xingye laughed wantonly, and rubbed Yinhe's hair softly. Why are you so stupid? Who makes a wish for others? Yinhe turned her head, pouted, and looked at the two of them with a smile. But you are the most important people in my heart. Pei Yenche and Song Xingye both laughed a little, and said at the same time, you are also the most important person to me. Wen Yuxi felt that the air was full of sweet and greasy smell, and she didn't want to stay near them anymore. So she turned and went to the corner, quietly admiring the fireworks alone. After Yinhe found out, she immediately pulled Pei Yenche and Song Xingye. Yuxi seems unhappy, she didn't even set off the fireworks. Let's go and comfort her. I'm not angry about what happened last time. You guys shouldn't be angry either. Hearing this, Pei Yenche's eyes were deep, his feet seemed to be rooted in the ground, motionless. Song Xingye also turned his head away, not looking at Wen Yuxi, and refused to move. Hey, since you guys don't want to go, then I'll go and comfort her and give her a surprise. As she said this, she smiled and picked up a bunch of fireworks, and when she got close to Wen Yuxi's back, she quietly lit them and threw them on Wen Yuxi's head. With a bang, the fireworks exploded.
Ah!
Everyone looked over and saw that Wen Yuxi's whole body was on fire. Yuxi, Pei Yanche and Song Xingye felt their chests tighten and ran over like crazy when she woke up again. When Yuxi opened her eyes and saw a white scene, she smelled a strong smell of disinfectant. She just moved a little and felt severe pain all over her body. The nurse who changed the dressing hurriedly stopped her. Don't move, you have severe burns on your body. Fortunately, you were sent to the hospital in time and had skin grafts, so there will be no scars on your body, otherwise, your beautiful face and white skin will be completely ruined. When Yuxi thought of the scene before she fell into a coma, and she felt a chill in her heart, she really didn't know how people could be so vicious. She wanted to speak, but the pain all over her body made her powerless. At this time, the nurse said again. By the way, 2 handsome boys brought you to the hospital. You were unconscious when they brought you here. Didn't you see how worried they were? They have been guarding you for as long as you have been unconscious these days. They were just advised to rest. Do you want us to wake them up? They will be very happy if they know you are awake. When Yuxi hurriedly stopped her. No, she didn't want to see Pei Yanche and Song Xingye. The nurse nodded and left with the dressing cart. But not long after, Pei Yanche and Song Xingye, who heard the news, hurried over. They usually have mysophobia, but now their eyes are full of bloodshot, and their shirts have not been changed for several days. Their eyes are full of heartache. The moment he saw her, his eyes were still trembling. Yuxi, are you okay? I'm sorry, we didn't protect you well. Before when Yuxi could speak, Pei Yanche spoke again, handing over a large stack of handwritten apology letters. Yuxi, I know you are in pain. It was indeed Inhe who did something wrong this time, but she didn't mean it. She felt guilty the longer you were unconscious these days, and she has been thinking about how to apologize to you. Please forgive her. Hearing this, when Yuxi's palms were cold, I was injured. She felt guilty. Should I be responsible too? Yuxi, that's not what I meant. Inhe just wanted to apologize to you. Want to apologize? Sure, let her come over and get the same injury as me. After she finished speaking, she closed her eyes, not wanting to look at their faces again. Song Xingye frowned and said in a gentle voice, Yuxi, don't be so aggressive. Xiaohe really blames herself. Self-blame? When Yuxi laughed until tears came out, she blames herself so much. If you feel sorry for her, go see her. Why stay in my ward? Her eyes were full of indifference, as if she was keeping people away. Pei Yanche and Song Xingye looked at each other and sighed helplessly. They knew that she couldn't listen to anything they said now. Song Xingye said helplessly, Yuxi, I found the best doctor in the city to treat you. There will be no scars. Don't worry. Pei Yanche also said, I left the Pei family's bodyguards here. Tell them directly what you want to eat or use. We will come to see you every day. After that, the two took a deep look at Wen Yuxi, who was resting with her eyes closed on the bed, and walked away. After they left, When Yuxi gritted her teeth and breathed heavily in pain, since the moment she woke up, the anesthetic has lost its effect. Her whole body felt like it was being stabbed by a knife. She had been forcing herself to endure the grievance and pain, and refused to make any fragile sounds. Until I don't know how long it had been, Wen's father and mother hurried over. Yuxi, does it hurt? As soon as her parents' caring words came out, Wen Yuxi could no longer hold back. And the tears she had held back for a long time could no longer be held back. Dad, Mom, she could no longer hold back and cried out, I'm in so much pain. Wen's mother hugged her distressfully, and her father's face was dark, and he slapped the table hard. It's really letting a wolf into the house. That Inhe must have done it on purpose. From today on, we will revoke our funding for Inhe. We will also try our best to find evidence and pursue all her responsibilities. After a long time, when Yuxi's emotions finally stabilized, and Wen's father and mother had to leave because of work, Yuxi, take good care of your injuries. Your parents are busy with work, so they will leave first, but they will never let her go. Wen's father and mother hurried over and left in a hurry. The ward was empty and deserted again. When Yuxi was not as sad as before, and her heart was warm, she closed her eyes and just fell asleep when there was a knock on the door. Before she could speak, she heard the door of the ward being pushed open. This time it was Inhe who came. She cried like a pear blossom in the rain, tears rolling down her face, sobbing and saying, I'm sorry, Yuxi. Can you forgive me? I can't live without the support of the Wen family, and I can't go to jail. I can't live. I'm sorry. I really didn't mean it. please, forgive me." She said the words of apology countless times, but when Yusi couldn't hear a word of sincerity, if she hadn't withdrawn her support. If she hadn't been held accountable, would she still come to apologize? You don't have to think about it. When Yusi didn't want to see her, so she reached out and pressed the nurse bell beside her. "Sister nurse, I don't know her. She disturbed my rest. Please help me drive her away. Thank you." Hearing this, the nurse's eyes instantly became alert. She quickly grabbed Inhe's hand and asked her to go out. Inhe stumbled and begged while being pushed. At this time, two voices suddenly came from behind. "Don't touch her." Pei Yanche and Song Xingye quickly supported Inhe and asked softly, "Are you okay?" "I'm fine." She shook her head pretending to be relaxed, but the red circles under her eyes revealed everything. "Yusi doesn't want to see me, I'd better leave." She said so, but she didn't move at all. Seeing this, the two quickly grabbed her hand and broke into the ward again. Song Xingye advised again, "Yusi, Xiaohe really blames herself. Just cancel the funding, it's really too much to hold her accountable, just forgive her this time." Inhe grabbed Song Xingye's hand and cried, "Xingye, you don't have to speak for me, although I didn't mean it. If it weren't for me, Yusi wouldn't be hurt, and she wouldn't have had skin grafted. She suffered so much pain. I also know that she won't forgive me easily." As she said that, she took out a knife from somewhere, with tears in her eyes, and looked at Yusi resolutely and said, "Yusi, you said that if I was hurt, you would forgive me, right?" After that, she held the knife and slashed it hard on her arm. The bright red blood gushed out instantly, deeply stinging everyone's eyes. Seeing that she was about to make a second cut, Pei Yanche's eyes shrank, and he immediately snatched the knife from Inhe's hand and slashed it hard on his arm. "I'll do it for her." Song Xingye was not willing to be left behind, and took the knife and slashed it on his arm. "If 2 slashes don't work, I'll still be there. I'll take the brunt of Xiaohe's pain." When Yusi lay on the hospital bed, watching the two people fighting for Inhe's injuries, and felt a little dazed for a moment, does she really know the two people in front of her? The three of them, they have been childhood sweethearts for more than 10 years, and Inhe has only been around for a month. How could she change so quickly? The three people in front of her were still arguing. When Yusi suppressed her aching heart, lowered her eyes, and finally spoke, "I don't accept moral kidnapping. It's my business whether to forgive or not. Now I want to rest. Please leave." Her voice was as cold as ice, even though the arms of the three people in front of her were bleeding. Her expression did not change at all. Pei Yanche and Song Xingye looked at each other and could see the surprise in each other's eyes. They didn't expect Wen Yusi to be so indifferent. Inhe's tears kept falling down, and her eyes were red and swollen from crying. "I'm sorry, I'm sorry." Pei Yanche gently coaxed and wiped the tears from her face. "Be good, don't cry, don't blame you. We are here. Yes, the Wen family will not support it anymore, and we are here. Don't worry about the tuition fees in the future. As for the rest, you don't have to worry, we will find a way to get you off the hook." Song Xingye followed and advised. Hearing this, when Yusi closed her eyes and smiled sarcastically at the corners of her mouth, she knew that they could keep Inhe if they wanted. Then why did he come to beg for her forgiveness? Was he deliberately playing a love scene in front of her? She stayed in the hospital for a long time, and Pei Yanche and Song Xingye came to see her almost every day. She refused to meet them every time. There was no other way. Pei Yanche and Song Xingye could only put the gifts they bought to please her and her favorite snacks at the door every day, waiting for someone to come in. They could bring them in, but every time, when Yusi sent them to the nurse on duty, until the day she was discharged from the hospital, Pei Yanche and Song Xingye came to pick her up. "Yusi, your uncle and aunt are on a business trip, we are here to pick you up." When Yusi didn't even look at them and turned to leave in another direction, Pei Yanche's face darkened and he grabbed her hand. "Yusi, because you are unhappy, we haven't seen Inhe recently. It's understandable that you don't like her, but why is your relationship with us so distant?" Hearing this, when Yusi couldn't help but feel ridiculous, was she deliberately being distant? Didn't they push her out step by step and forcibly separate her from her? She just laughed a few times and didn't answer. Song Xingye drove the car over and blocked the door. "Yusi, if you don't get in the car, we will keep blocking here. I guarantee that all cars on this road will not be able to pass." As if to verify his words, cars not far away soon honked their horns in protest. Next came the second, third, and more. Song Xingye opened the car door. "Sorry, I'll coax the girl, and I'll drive away as soon as she forgives me." When Yusi didn't want to disrupt traffic, so she had to get in the car. As soon as they got in the car, the two began to show their affection crazily. "Yusi, look, this is your favorite cake. Haven't you always wanted to eat it?" I've been waiting in line for a long time. Song Xingye was like a puppy seeking praise, holding up the strawberry cake with sparkling eyes. No, I don't like it now, too greasy, she refused coldly. Pei Yanche pushed another box of exquisitely wrapped ointment in front of Wen Yusi. It doesn't matter, if you don't like it, then don't like it. This is the ointment I bought from a well-known foreign medical professor. It will be good for your wound recovery if you apply it. She pushed the ointment back. No need, the hospital prescribed medicine, and these are not needed, no matter how attentive the two were. Wen Yusi refused one by one. Suddenly, she felt as if something was stuffed in the gap between the seats. She took it out and found a note with the beautiful handwriting on it. Princess Xiaohe's co-pilot seat. Wen Yusi couldn't help but sneer. Song Xingye quickly grabbed the note and tore it into pieces. Yusi, don't misunderstand me. This is because I lost the game last time. Hurry up, as if afraid that she would misunderstand. Wen Yusi chuckled lightly. It has nothing to do with me. She closed her eyes uninterested. Not caring about their reactions, Song Xingye's face changed instantly. How can it have nothing to do with me? Have you forgotten what you promised us before? You have to make a choice on the first day of school. Pei Yanche's cold eyes moved slightly, and he couldn't help asking, have you chosen? When Yusi glanced at them, it seems more appropriate for you to ask Inhe about this. Why ask Inhe? We don't mean that to her. Yusi, did you misunderstand something? The two people's expressions suddenly changed, and they hurried to explain, but when Yusi didn't want to listen anymore, she closed her eyes, leaned her head against the car window, and turned a deaf ear to it. Pei Yanche and Song Xingye did not dare to talk to disturb her anymore. They just looked at each other and felt that when Yusi seemed to have changed a lot, she became less and less concerned about them. This was not their original intention. They wanted to explain, but they did not know where to start, so they could only comfort themselves and wait until the first day of school. When Yusi had just arrived home when she received a call from the teacher. Yusi, you did very well in the exam this time. You are the top scorer in our city. The school wants to invite you to come back and give a speech to the younger students to teach you about your learning experience. When Yusi hesitated for a moment, if she went to give a speech, then she would not be able to hide the fact that she changed her volunteer, but she hesitated for only a few seconds and agreed. Sooner or later, they would know about the change of volunteer. She had only kept it a secret to avoid trouble, but the matter was a foregone conclusion, and they could not change anything even if they went crazy. She could not be timid because she was afraid that they would find out. Compared with this, she wanted to share some learning experience with her younger students. Thinking of this, she spent 3 days fully preparing for this speech. However, just before going on stage, Pei Yanche and Song Xingye blocked her way to the stage. Song Xingye said unnaturally, Yusi, you don't need to go on stage this time. Why don't you go out with us to eat something? Or if you want to go somewhere, we will take you there. When Yusi looked at him with a nervous expression and glanced at the corners several times, and asked in confusion, what do you mean? Pei Yanche was silent for a few seconds before taking over the conversation. Xiaohe really wants to practice her ability to speak, so I asked my father to come forward and give her this opportunity to speak. Pei's father invested in several buildings, and it was just a matter of a word for him to change the speaker temporarily. At this time, Inhe's crisp voice came from the stage. She looked up following the voice and found that Inhe appeared on the stage, looking at Wen Yusi in a daze. Pei Yanche and Song Xingye couldn't help but feel nervous. They waited for her to get angry, but after waiting for a long time, she kept a cold face and did not show any angry reaction. All the prepared coping methods were not used at this time. When Yusi just smiled, said nothing, and turned away. What a pity, Pei Yanche, Song Xingye. You missed the last chance to know the truth. On the first day of school, Wen's father and mother came back specially. Yusi, are you ready for your luggage? Peking University is so far away from Beijing, more than 3,000 kilometers away. You must bring what you should bring. Wen's mother counted the number of luggage repeatedly. Wen's father also said with concern, Dad will take you to the airport? Dad is worried about you going out so far alone. No need. When Yusi smiled and shook his head, I'm grown up. Mom and Dad are busy with work. Don't worry about me. Even though she said so, Wen's mother was still a little worried, wiped her tears, and her voice was a little crying. How can we feel at ease if you go to such a far place by yourself? Huada is in this city, but you have to go so far. When Yusi smiled and hugged her mother, Mom, you cried so much just because I went to school. If I get married in the future, you will faint from crying. Wen's mother remembered something and quickly took out a note from her bag with a phone number written on it. Yusi, in fact, your family arranged a marriage for you when you were a child, but Pei Yanche and Song Xingye have been pestering you since childhood. We always thought you would marry one of them, so we never mentioned it. Now it seems that they are not suitable for you. That child is also studying in Peking University, the same school as you. Although there is no such thing as a baby marriage now, if you can get along well, then get along. If you can't get along, you can ask him for help, so that you can have someone to take care of you. As she said, Wen's mother put the note in Wen Yuxi's palm, just as she was about to refuse. Pei Yanche and Song Xingye suddenly walked in. Don't worry, uncle and aunt, we will take good care of Yusi. The people present knew that the two had misheard and thought that they were talking about them. But everyone was silent and no one told the truth. When Yusi calmly put the note into her pocket and said, Mom, don't worry, I know. Wen's mother wiped her tears and responded, and Wen's father couldn't help but read in his eyes. Pei Yanche and Song Xingye looked at each other, not understanding why they cried like this. Uncle, Aunt, Wada is in this city. Although Yusi lives in the hotel, she can still come back at any time on weekends. If she misses home, we can also send her back every day. Wen's father and mother sighed and said nothing. Pei Yanche and Song Xingye didn't notice anything unusual, and hurried to Wen Yuxi's room to help her carry her suitcase diligently, but after entering, both of them were shocked. Pei Yanche was a little surprised and said, Isn't it in this city? You can go home at any time. Why bring so many clothes? I'm a girl. It's normal to have a lot of clothes. Wen Yuxi casually said. Song Xingye followed up, Yes, buy as much as you want. I'll take you to buy some after the formalities are completed. Pei Yanche didn't say anything else, but picked up a suitcase casually. His always cold face now had a trace of barely perceptible nervousness. Yusi, take my car and go. After hesitating for a while, he continued hesitantly, I prepared a surprise for you at school. Song Xingye quickly snatched the suitcase from his hand. You'd better take my car. I also prepared a surprise. The two pulled Wen Yusi from the left and right. And during the struggle, someone's phone suddenly rang. Ache, Xingye, I had a car accident on the way to school. Woo, it's Inhe. Pei Yanche and Song Xingye's expressions changed instantly, and they asked anxiously, How are you? What happened? Are you injured? Inhe's sobbing voice came from the other end. I'm fine, just scared. Pei Yanche made a prompt decision. Don't move, wait for me where you are. I'll come to you right away. Song Xingye also comforted. Don't be afraid, I'm here, I'll come to you. After hanging up the phone, they remembered Wen Yusi beside them. Before they could speak, she interrupted them. You don't need to send me, I'll go to school by myself. Pei Yanche hesitated and finally said, Then remember to call me when you get to school. Song Xingye also stammered, Yusi, you said you would choose one of us on the first day of school, don't forget. Wen Yusi always looked at them coldly, without nodding or answering. The two always felt something was wrong, but Song Xingye's phone rang again, and Inhe on the other end was crying, saying that she was scared and that her legs hurt. The two had to leave, and before leaving, they did not forget to move Wen Yusi's luggage to the driver's car of the Wen family. Pei Yanche and Song Xingye looked back every few steps, reminding her to remember to contact him again and again. However, Wen Yusi never replied a word. Finally, the two got into their own cars. And she got in the car too. As soon as she sat down, Wen Yusi's phone vibrated slightly. After she opened it, she found that it was from Inhe. Wen Yusi, do you see clearly? As long as I call, they will still abandon you, even if you become their girlfriend. If you continue to support me, I will consider giving one of them to you. Seeing this, Wen Yusi sneered, her fingertips typed a few words. No, I don't want these two. I'll give them all to you. After sending, she blocked Inhe neatly. Then it was Pei Yanche, Song Xingye. Finally, she broke the SIM card into pieces and threw it away, then took out a new one from her bag and replaced it. The first thing she did was to enter the number of the marriage partner that Wen's mother had just given her. The driver stepped on the accelerator, and the car drove towards the airport in the opposite direction of the other two. She smiled slightly at the speeding scenery. This time, she would completely start a new life. The moment the plane took off, Wen Yusi thought that everything in the past was over, and she was going to start her brand new life. And in this part of her life, Pei Yanche and Song Xingye were not involved. The plane here had just taken off, and at the same time, Pei Yanche and Song Xingye on the other side were holding flowers in their hands, standing at the gate of Hua University, their faces becoming darker and darker. They had not seen the Wen family's car for a long time. And their premonition in their hearts was getting worse and worse. For some reason, they all felt uneasy in their hearts, and this feeling gradually expanded, and a thought came to mind, that is, when Yusi did not want to accept their confession, maybe she just changed the way to enter the school gate. They almost dared not think of another impossible possibility. The countless flowers behind them attracted the attention of many students. And some people even took pictures of them and posted them on the school forum. The handsome freshman in our school made such a big scene on the first day. Who is he going to confess to? I'm dead. Who is so happy? Don't say it, don't say it. They look different. One is cold and arrogant, and the other is passionate and unrestrained. Are they going to confess to the same girl? Are they still at the school gate now? I'll go and see too. After seeing this forum, countless people hurried over to watch. More and more people gathered around, and the onlookers also whispered, as if they all wanted to know who had such good luck to be confessed to by such two top handsome guys. Pei Yenche didn't know how many times he had called Wen Yusi, but the other party never answered. Song Xingya's face was as dark as the bottom of a pot. She blocked me. I can't contact her at all. He squeezed the phone hard, almost squeezing it out of shape. Obviously, Pei Yenche's cold eyes also showed the same irritability. Me too. They had never encountered anything like today. When Yusi would never not contact them like this, she must have had an accident. All the flowers, diamond rings and other gifts prepared in advance were thrown on the spot. Pei Yenche rushed home desperately. And Song Xingya also hurried to find Wen Yusi in the school. The door of the Wen family was knocked again. It took a long time for someone to open the door this time. It was not Wen Yusi, but the servant at home. Master Pei, is there anything I can do for you? Seeing the servant's figure, Pei Yenche frowned and was silent for a while. After a moment of silence, he spoke. Is Yusi still at home? As he spoke, his eyes looked inside. There was no suitcase of Wen Yusi in the house, nor was there any sign of her. The servant was confused. Master Pei, the young lady went out with you this morning. How could she still be at home now? Pei Yenche said, lightly, and then asked, are uncle and aunt still at home? I have questions for them. Oh, the master and his wife went on a business trip after you left. They are not at home. You can call them. The servant answered honestly, and then slowly closed the door. Pei Yenche's eyes were deep, and his fingers clenched into fists. It would be great if the call could be connected, he said to himself, feeling a little lonely for no reason. Could it be that Yusi really didn't want to agree to their confession, so she avoided them? Obviously, they had dealt with Yinhe's affairs and rushed here as quickly as possible. The school was preparing a surprise. Why was it still a step behind? They could have explained it clearly just a little bit. Pei Yenche returned to school in despair. However, Song Xingya on the other side was not much better. He asked around if there was anyone who knew Wen Yusi, and the students who passed by shook their heads. A kind-hearted classmate reminded him, brother, it's not right for you to look for someone like this. If you want to find someone, go to the student office to ask, or go to the academic affairs office to check, and let them check in the system. Isn't it much longer? Song Xingya was so anxious that he was dizzy for a while, and thanked him repeatedly. He was really stupid. He actually used such a stupid way to find someone. After getting the advice, Song Xingya hurried to the academic affairs office and found the teacher in charge of student management. Teacher, my girlfriend is also a freshman in the school, but she has lost contact until now. I want to ask you to help check whether she has registered for school. The teacher hesitated for a long time, until Song Xingya said that he could donate a library. And then he agreed with a smile. She checked the system several times, but couldn't find Wen Yusi. There wasn't even one person with the same name. At this time, the teacher was also a little uncertain. Student, are you sure your girlfriend's name is Wen Yusi? Is it correct? She pointed at the name on the screen and confirmed it repeatedly. Song Xingya nodded quickly. Yes, that's right. How could I remember her name wrong? Now it was the teacher's turn to panic, and she subconsciously checked the list of new students admitted. After searching for several times in a row, including Song Xingya, she looked through it countless times before she came to the conclusion, student, the one Yusi you are talking about is not a student of our school. We didn't admit this person this year, including in previous years. The system's records will not be wrong. Did your girlfriend lie to you? If she really lied to you, you must call the police immediately, the teacher said with concern. Hearing this, Song Xingya felt like he was struck by lightning. The rumbling thunder echoed in his mind. What did he hear? Hua University did not admit Wen Yusi. Where did she go? With her grades, she would be sought after no matter which school she went to. It was absolutely impossible for her to fail the entrance exam. What happened? In an instant, Song Xingye felt that his brain was rusty and he could not think at this time. Pei Yanche received the news and rushed over. The aura around him was so cold that few people dared to approach him. They all wanted to stay thousands of miles away from him. What happened? He asked coldly, obviously in a bad mood and holding back a lot of anger. Song Xingye shook his head and told him all the news he had just learned. Pei Yanche's eyes darkened and shrank slightly. Where did she go? Is she going to leave us? Both of them couldn't help but have this thought in their hearts. Song Xingye's eyes were slightly red because he couldn't accept it. For a while, he couldn't stand up, his tall body shook slightly. Pei Yanche was not much better. As early as on the way to school, he had thought of every possibility. He even thought that Wen Yusi was just jealous and angry. But he never thought that she would leave them. For a moment, both of them could not accept this. For a moment, they all wondered if they pushed her too hard, which made her like this. But the next moment, a boy's voice interrupted their thinking. Handsome guys, there is a girl at the school gate who picked up your gifts and flowers and said she knew you. Go and see it. It's raining outside. It's not good to get sick. Hearing this, Pei Yanche and Song Xingye looked at each other and saw the surprise and excitement in each other's eyes. Song Xingye was a little overjoyed for a while and hurried out and rushed to the school gate. Pei Yanche walked behind. But his pace couldn't help but be much faster. Is it Wen Yusi? They all had this impossible fantasy in their hearts. Maybe she really played a joke on them. It doesn't matter if they are not in the same school, as long as she is willing to accept their confession, the two thought at the same time. As they got closer and closer to the school gate, Song Xingye's heart was pounding. Pei Yanche's Adam's apple also rolled several times subconsciously. They were all stunned until the girl holding 2 bouquets of flowers at the school gate turned around. Why is it you, Inhi? Why are you here? Where is Wen Yusi? Song Xingye and Pei Yanche spoke one after another. Inhi was soaked by the rain, but she still tried to use her small body to block the rain and prevent the rain from wetting the flowers and gifts in her arms. Ache, Xingye, you are finally here. I will help you keep your gifts. Why hasn't Yusi come yet? I have been waiting here for a long time. Her thin body was blown by the wind and rain, but it revealed a sense of stubbornness. It's a pity that neither of them had the heart to appreciate it. Song Xingye said perfunctorily in disappointment. You don't need to guard these. Go back first. Yusi I won't come. Pei Yanche looked at the messy flowers on the ground and said desperately. They didn't expect that this would be the result now. Their expectations were dashed in an instant, and they naturally felt bad. At this time, they were not in the mood to coax Inhi. However, she did not give up, holding the gift and coaxing them with a smile. Ache, Xingye, don't be discouraged. Yusi just hasn't thought about it yet. Maybe she will figure it out after a while. Look, the gifts you prepared are very good. Girls like me like them very much. And Yusi will definitely like them too. Unfortunately, Song Xingye and Pei Yanche didn't listen to these words carefully. They used to be reluctant to let Inhi get hurt, but now they can ignore her getting wet in the rain. She won't like it, Pei Yanche said lightly. They grew up with her since childhood. How could they not understand what she meant? Her behavior was a clear rejection. In order to leave them, she changed her choice of major, but she never told them. Wasn't the meaning of this action obvious enough? Song Xingye also lowered his eyes, exuding a sad atmosphere. Perhaps they made a wrong move. They thought that if they were nice to Inhi, Wen Yusi would be jealous, and thus compete with Inhi to figure out whose confession to accept in the end. Unexpectedly, she didn't want either of them. Pei Yanche and Song Xingye's eyes were full of loneliness at this time. Inhi suddenly opened the 2 gift boxes and put on a pair of jade bracelets and a jade necklace inside. She held their hands on the left and right, and said firmly, Ache, Xingye, Yusi doesn't like it, but there is still me. I like you. You are very good, but when Yusi can't see it, can you also look at the people around you? I'm not bad either. Inhi shouted these words loudly regardless of the rain soaking her clothes. Instantly, the whole campus was silent, including Pei Yanche and Song Xingye. Song Xingye pulled his lips unnaturally and said jokingly, Inhi, are you kidding? Stop it. Take off the jade necklace. It's not for you to wear, dear. Pei Yanche stared at Inhi's hands. His eyes were so cold that he seemed to want to chop them off. Who allowed you to wear these bracelets? Take them off. Don't let me do it. It's not for you. His cold hands tightly grasped Inhi's wrists. and took off the bracelets that had just been put on while the rain was lubricating them. He almost froze in place. How could this be? Almost instantly, tears welled up. He cried aggrievedly and apologized again and again. I'm sorry, this doesn't belong to me, I know, it belongs to Wenyusi. I misunderstood that you like me, I thought too much. Before Song Xingye took off the necklace, she took it off and put it in his palm. I'm sorry, it's all my fault for taking Wenyusi's things. I thought she rejected you and I would have a chance, but it turned out to be just my wishful thinking. He laughed at herself and left crying. However, she didn't run far, but she never heard the footsteps chasing after her. This time, she was completely panicked. She originally thought that Pei Yanche and Song Xingye had let her control them and loved her so much that they couldn't extricate themselves, but why did it still happen? Wenyusi had abandoned them on the day of the agreed confession, so why did they still love her so much? Is she, Inhe, so inferior to Wenyusi? Inhe stood by a remote lake and lost her way for a while. It was only her first day at this school. After accidentally going astray, she forgot how to go the right way. Why do you even make it difficult for me on the road? Inhe was so angry that she kicked a big tree beside her, but because of the rain, the road was slippery, and she accidentally fell and split. The image that was carefully prepared in advance was messed up. Inhe was almost crying with anger. She lay on the ground in pain, grinning for a long time before she could barely climb up. Why do they like Wenyusi so much, even if it's like this? They still love her so much. Family background, status, money, parents who love her, childhood sweethearts who grew up together. She has everything. Why can't she give way to me? Even if you give it to Pei Yanche or Song Xingye, why do you treat me like this? Her resentment grew stronger and stronger. She punched the tree trunk hard, and her knuckles were bleeding, but she didn't notice it. However, at this time, Pei Yanche and Song Xingye carefully put the heirloom back into the box. They never thought of accepting Inhe. For Inhe, they only felt pity, and more of a tool to treat her as a tool for Wenyusi. Now that Wenyusi is not here, there is no need to be so nice to her. What's more, because of her, Wenyusi has no choice. Pei Yanche and Song Xingye looked at each other and saw their dissatisfaction with each other. If they hadn't made that damn agreement, perhaps they would have caught up with Wenyusi long ago, instead of being like this now. They don't even know where she went. Suddenly, Pei Yanche said, Teacher Lu knows. Hearing this, Song Xingye immediately raised his head reflexively. Teacher Lu was their high school class teacher and must know which university Wenyusi went to. Pei Yanche and Song Xingye quickly turned on their phones. Hello, Teacher Lu, it's me, Pei Yanche. I want to ask which university Wenyusi went to. Teacher Lu on the other end of the phone was very surprised. Ah. The three of you are together almost every day. Don't you know which university Wenyusi went to? Pei Yanche was silent with a little shame. Teacher Lu didn't think much about it and proudly said, Wenyusi has the best grades. She went to Peking University. When our school received the notice, we felt a little strange. Why didn't she stay in Hua University in the city with you too? But it's a foregone conclusion. You didn't ask us at the time, and we teachers thought you knew it and knew it in our hearts. Look, the class group also sent the admission list at that time. You can see it after you take a look. Hearing this, Song Xingye quickly opened the class group and searched carefully. After Pei Yanche thanked him, he hung up the phone. Sure enough, on the admission list, Wenyusi's name was followed by Beijing University. Instantly, both of them were stunned. Peking University is thousands of miles away from this city. Why would she choose to go there? She had obviously filled in Hua University as agreed before. Why did she suddenly change it? Pei Yanche and Song Xingye saw the confusion in each other's eyes. Could it be that she had planned to leave them forever so long ago? But why didn't she have a little heartbeat for them? Perhaps only Wenyusi herself could answer this question. If it were her, she would definitely tell them that perhaps in the past, she was definitely moved, and could even be called in love. However, that love was destroyed by the two of them. No girl can accept the betrayal of those around her, even friends. Wenyusi was already good-tempered enough and gave them countless chances. But she didn't expect that the two childhood friends who had always stood firmly by her side would unswervingly choose others. After so many times, she should give up. As soon as she got off the plane, she saw a man holding a sign with her name on it. The man had deep and three-dimensional facial features, and the most unique eyes were the same blue as the sky. He looked very obviously mixed race, tall and long-legged, and his superior inverted triangle figure attracted a lot of attention. When she approached, she heard him read her name seriously. A low, magnetic voice chuckled. And when Yusi was stunned for a moment, "I am Fu Chuji, your childhood sweetheart." Fu Chuji took the small suitcase from Wen Yusi's hand and introduced himself. Afterwards, he called the Fu family's driver to carry the remaining luggage of Wen Yusi into the car. She just let Fu Chuji take her away in a daze, until she felt the cool climate of North City. She shuddered subconsciously and her mind cleared up instantly. "I didn't recognize the wrong person, did I? Are you really the childhood sweetheart my mother said?" The moment she asked the question, a windbreaker was draped over her, which was extremely considerate. "I think I shouldn't recognize the wrong person." Fuchuji took out a photo like a magic trick and put it in front of Wen Yusi. She took it and saw that the person in the photo was herself. And the photo was stained with a little cedar scent and warmth from him. For a moment, Wen Yusi smiled a little embarrassed. "Sorry, I shouldn't have doubted you. It's okay, let's go to school." Fuchuji curled his lips sympathetically and continued. "I'm a student of financial management at Peking University Business School, 1 year older than you. If you have any questions, you can find me." He showed the QR code on his phone. "Add a friend." Wen Yusi nodded quickly, took out her phone and scanned the code successfully. Fuchuji sent her to the dormitory building, and together with the driver, moved all her luggage to the dormitory. Before she could refuse, he packed her luggage first, including the bed. Only some of Wen Yusi's personal clothes were sorted by her, and the rest were basically taken care of by him. Even if there was something missing, he noticed it at the first time and quickly asked someone to buy it. Wen Yusi was a little flattered for a while. He was really too considerate. Looking at Fu Chuji's busy back, Wen Yusi had the illusion that he was really her boyfriend, but she woke up in an instant. With the previous experience of Pei Yanche and Song Xingye, she almost didn't want to show her sincerity again. "It's good as it is now. Thank you for today, Brother Chuji. I'll treat you to dinner later." She thanked him politely. Fu Chuji noticed her alienation, chuckled, and said okay, until Wen Yusi fell asleep in bed. Pei Yanche and Song Xingye of Huada were not sleepy at all. Wen Yusi was not at Huada, and everything here seemed to have lost its appeal. Pei Yanche was not interested and refused all class activities. Even the military training that was not long ago was evaded by his relationship. He stood on the balcony and called Pei's father. "Hello, Dad. I want to transfer to Peking University." Hearing this, the other end of the phone was stunned for a long time, and then a curse came. "Pei Yanche, are you crazy? College is not high school. You can't go wherever you want. Don't be naive." "I won't agree. You know, with the status of the Pei family, you have to be extra cautious in every move. Don't even mention things like transferring schools, unless you drop out and take the college entrance examination again." As soon as the voice fell, there was a beep and the phone was hung up. Pei's father didn't care what he chose. In short, he couldn't use the power of the Pei family to manipulate it. If it was in this city or province, it would be fine. Peking University is so far away, and the power of the Pei family is not omnipotent. Pei Yanche knew this would be the result. He didn't feel disappointed at all. This call was not asking for opinions, but notifying. At the same time, Song Xingye on the side was in the same situation. Song's father scolded him. "Song Xingye, do you think you are a 3-year-old child? Go here today and make a fuss about going there tomorrow? College is not a joke. With your carefree state, it is the result of my burning incense and praying to Buddha that you can be admitted to Hua University. Your mother and I will not agree. I know that you want to go to Peking University for UC, but it still won't work. Didn't she run so far just to leave you? Give up. The Song family will not provide you with any help. If you really want to go, then find a way yourself. Don't come to us." Song Xingye's eyes were heavy, but he never said a word. It was the same for them no matter which university they were in. In the past, they thought she liked Hua University, so they took her to the gate of Hua University to punch in and agreed to go to college here. But they didn't expect that she would make such a hasty decision to escape from them. Pei Yanche and Song Xingye stayed up all night. The next day, they were supposed to go to the freshman meeting with their classmates, but they walked towards the academic affairs office. The teacher in the academic affairs office frowned and asked again and again, "Is Huada not good? Why do you want to drop out? Do you want to waste all your efforts in high school? You must understand that Huada and Peking University are on par with each other, and it doesn't matter where you go. What's more, this place is more suitable for your future development." The teacher tried his best to keep the 2 golden Buddhas, however. Pei Yanche said coldly, "Teacher, with my IQ, it's easy to get into any school. If she is not here, there is no need for me to stay." Song Xingye also said, "Me too. It's just the college entrance examination, just put in a little effort. I don't want to be separated from her." The teacher in the academic affairs office hesitated. At this time, Inhi stood outside the door and listened to these words. She thought that now that the three of them were in Huada, only when Yusi was not there. It was her chance, but I didn't expect that they would drop out of school for one Yusi. No, Xingya, can you not drop out? I don't want to be separated from you. Can you also look at me behind you? Okay, please, can you not only see one Yusi? Obviously I am not worse than her. Obviously I like you more, he shouted firmly, with tears on her face. After hearing this, the weirdness and disgust in Pei Yenche and Song Xingya's eyes became more and more obvious. The office was dead silent. After a long time, Pei Yenche broke the silence first. I remember what you promised us before. As soon as these words came out, Inhi's heart was half cold. Song Xingya suppressed his anger and dragged her out of the office. Then a punch came through the wind, but hit the wall beside. Some debris fell off the wall and fell on Inhi, however. At the moment when his fist hit her, her heartbeat stopped for a moment. Inhi, we agreed before that you would act with us and make Yusi jealous. You promised us that you would never have any feelings for us that you shouldn't have, so we chose you, Song Xingya said coldly, his eyes red with anger. Pei Yenche's clear voice also came over. At the beginning, you promised us that you would help us pursue Yusi, but what about now? You used our hands to force Yusi away. And you still want to confess to us. I remember I warned you more than once not to have any feelings for us that you shouldn't have. What should I do now? The two of them almost nailed Inhi to the cross with their words, as if they were going to be executed in the next second. She was extremely flustered. Her lips kept trembling, but she couldn't say a complete sentence. During this time, she was immersed in their kindness to her and had long forgotten the original agreement. I still remember that when she first met Pei Yenche and Song Xingya, she was just shocked by them. When Yusi brought her to contact them again and again, Inhi witnessed their attention and love for one Yusi. Gradually, she also developed a kind of greed. She thought, if they looked at her with such admiring eyes and treated her well, then she would probably be the happiest person in the world, right? How miserable would one Yusi be at that time? Inhi felt excited just thinking about it. She dreamed of replacing Wen Yusi, becoming Wen Yusi, and seeing Wen Yusi miserable, so she made a bold decision. He found Pei Yenche and Song Xingya to discuss a cooperation. The content of the cooperation was that they pretended to be nice to her to make Wen Yusi jealous, and she helped them pursue Wen Yusi. In order to make them believe that this method was effective, she deliberately threw away the love letter they prepared for Wen Yusi, and wrote it to herself in disguised handwriting. He still remembers the shocked and flustered look on Wen Yusi's face when she found the two love letters signed by Pei Yenche and Song Xingya. As expected, Wen Yusi took the love letters to question them, and as they wished, Wen Yusi got jealous. After that, they believed it and decided to tell Wen Yusi everything and explain everything on the first day of school at Hua University, but they didn't expect that Wen Yusi had already suppressed her thoughts and changed her wishes. He thought of everything that happened during this period and smiled crazily.
Ha!
If Pei Yenche and Song Xingya hadn't come in advance, I'm afraid she would have been immersed in the beautiful dream she had woven. Their cold and heartless eyes seemed as if their kindness to her had never existed during this period. He subconsciously stretched out her fingers and wanted to touch their eyes. But Song Xingya interrupted her without hesitation. You lied to us and forced Yusi away. There was a hint of danger in his tone. If it was before, they would not have thought of dealing with Inhi, but she had to bump into them recklessly, so they could not be blamed. Pei Yenche's tone was as cold as ice. If it weren't for you, Yusi would never leave us. Don't you care about your future the most? We will withdraw your funding, and you will pay back all the bullying you have done to Yusi before. As soon as these words came out, Inhi laughed and cried, Pei Yenche, Song Xingya. Don't deceive yourselves. During this period, you had countless opportunities to win back Wen Yusi, but you didn't take them. You pushed her away with your own hands. I said, she doesn't love you at all. The person who loves you the most is me. Me, she screamed at the top of her lungs, trying to arouse the pity of the two. However, there was only indifference in the eyes of Pei Yenche and Song Xingya. Enough, Yusi must still have us in her heart. Don't lie anymore. Song Xingya said hurriedly, not knowing whether he was confident or flustered. Then, the two of them left Inhi where he was and went to withdraw from school without hesitation. Inhi sat on the ground in embarrassment, feeling extremely flustered. The withdrawal of the grant alone was enough to drive her to death. She was used to a rich life, and it was impossible for her to fall into the quagmire again. Without money, it was difficult to survive. Inhi regretted it for a while. She got up quickly, took the card that Pei Yanche and Song Xingye had given her before, and rushed to the bank. I want to withdraw cash, the more the better. She entered the password in a panic, and her fingers trembled several times before she successfully entered it completely. At this time, I am afraid that only a large amount of cash can satisfy her uneasy mood. However, at this time, the ATM machine malfunctioned and displayed, "Your bank card has been frozen." Both cards had been changed, and they all had the same words. He was completely panicked. How could this happen? She quickly changed another machine and tried to comfort herself. Yes, it must be a machine failure. It can't be so fast. I don't know how many machines I changed, but the words displayed are the same. Impossible, impossible. He muttered frantically, holding the bank card in front of the bank counter staff, and shouted loudly, "Give me cash, as much as you can." The staff repeatedly confirmed, then frowned, and said patiently, "Sorry, both of your bank cards are frozen and you can't withdraw money." Hearing this, he lost all his strength in an instant, like a puddle of mud, and collapsed on the ground. "It's over, everything is over." She threw the 2 bank cards on the ground casually, and the whole person was almost desperate to collapse. Even she didn't know how she walked back. As she walked, suddenly there was a naughty child holding a firework in his hand, and he was laughing and playing with his friends. Then he didn't look at the road and accidentally bumped into Inhe's calf. "Get out, don't touch me." She kicked the child away, and the child burst into tears. Seeing the fireworks in his hand, the child's eyes became fierce, and he lit it and threw it at Inhe's back. With a bang, the fireworks exploded, and Inhe's clothes were burned by sparks, and a piece of her hair was singed off. "Ah! Help! Help me." He rolled on the ground in pain, but unfortunately, there was no surveillance here, and few people came. The 2 children who were playing just now disappeared. A red dot flashed in a hidden place, and then a black-clad bodyguard reported in a low voice, "Mr. Wen, we have succeeded, and I promise not to let Inhe have an easy time." Wen's father stood by the French window, looking at the river, and said, Softly. Inhe struggled for a long time and finally put out the fire behind her, and then limped to the hospital. Even if she didn't need to see it, the burning pain on her back made her sweat. Inhe's face turned pale, and she fainted on her face after just a few steps. Her delicate and pretty face was scratched, and her nose was also fractured. After being sent to the hospital by a kind person, Inhe woke up again, and her whole body was in pain. However, when the nurse saw that she was awake, she urged her to find someone to pay the bill. "Ms. Inhe, none of the contacts in your mobile phone can be contacted. The surgery fee and hospitalization fee must be paid in time, otherwise the subsequent surgery may not be completed, and you will not be able to continue to stay in the hospital for treatment." Inhe was in so much pain that tears rolled down her face, and she called Pei Yanche and Song Xingye one by one. She prayed that they could help her again. Her family could not be relied on at all. It was good that they did not ask her for money. How could they pay for her medical expenses? However, I don't know how many calls I made to Pei Yanche and Song Xingye before someone answered. "What's the matter?" Pei Yanche's cold voice came over, but it was like a heavenly sound. "Ah. Che, please. Please save me. I was injured by a child with fireworks. Now I have no money to pay for the surgery in the hospital. Please help me again. I was wrong before, but I can't predict when Yusi's heart. Didn't you try it before? Didn't it work? Please." He said the words of begging so many times that her voice became hoarse. Pei Yanche on the other end of the phone spoke slowly. "Speaking of this, I seem to have forgotten that you actually did so many excessive things to Yusi before. Our means are still too light, which is why you are still dreaming to beg me now." Song Xingye on the side also said fiercely, "You should pay back 1,000 times if you hurt Yusi." With a beep, the phone was hung up. The last glimmer of hope in Inhe's eyes was shattered. She didn't want to become an ugly monster, so she used all her savings for the year for the surgery. However, due to the limitation of money, even if she had the surgery, she still couldn't go back to the beginning, of course. These are all later stories. After Pei Yanche and Song Xingye dropped out of school, they immediately signed up for a repeat class. For a time, the rumors about the 2 of them spread throughout the entire Huada campus. Almost everyone was discussing how stupid they were, confessing on the first day of school. But the person they confessed to was not in the school at all. There were even insiders who broke the news about Inhe. Countless people talked about Inhe with a little contempt. But she was lying in the hospital now and didn't know. Pei Yanche believed that he had good grades, and even if he didn't go to the repeat class to study, he could still be admitted to Peking University next year. Repeating was just a title. Even if Song Xingye's grades were not as good as Pei Yanche, he was naturally not worried. If he couldn't beat Pei Yanche, he could still hire a tutor, so the two of them rushed to Beicheng without stopping, Peking University. The roommates that when Yusi met here were all nice people. Everything on campus was so beautiful that she almost forgot about Pei Yanche and Song Xingye. After the military training, her cell phone rang. Her roommates joked, "It's that handsome senior who asked you out for dinner again, right? Tell the truth. When are you two together? Can we have the dinner you invited?" "Yes, yes, many people are betting on your CP. The three of us are still betting on how long it will take for senior food to catch up with you. I can't lose." The few people were noisy, and when Yusi couldn't help blushing, "Okay, I haven't thought about it yet. What's more, he hasn't officially confessed. I just thank him for his help during this period." After perfunctorily passing on a few roommates, when Yusi changed into a sky blue skirt and stood downstairs of the dormitory building, looking around, but she didn't see Fu Chuji. Just when she was confused, her instructor during military training appeared in front of her with a bouquet of red roses. When you see, "I have a good impression of you. Can I be with you?" The dark-skinned instructor stammered out the words that had been hidden in his heart for a long time, and his handsome face was obviously nervous. Many students watched and cheered behind him. Promise him, promise him." However, when Yusi's face became more and more ugly, she didn't know when she gave him the illusion. Not to mention, during this period of military training, the instructor was particularly strict with her. If this is his preference, then she doesn't need it at all. She refused righteously. "Sorry, I don't like you and can't be with you." The instructor's face suddenly became very ugly, and his lips moved a few times, wanting to say something else. At this time, Fu Chuji appeared behind Wen Yusi, and his warm palm was politely placed on her shoulder. "Yusi has already rejected you. It's time to leave, right?" Seeing Fu Chuji appear, the instructor's face instantly turned gray and left in disappointment. Everyone also dispersed. Seeing this, when Yusi was a little surprised, "They seem to be very afraid of you." Fu Chuji chuckled, his eyes narrowed slightly. But he looked like an aristocrat of the old century. "Of course, after all, I am also their teacher. Of course I am afraid." Hearing this, when Yusi's doubts grew bigger and bigger, "Teacher, aren't you just 1 year older than me?" "Well, in the second half of last year, I had completed all my university studies and entered graduate studies in advance. In the first half of this year, I was an assistant tutor and taught some students courses. Maybe it's because of this that they are so afraid of me." Fu Chuji concealed some facts, but they were insignificant. In fact, he had received elite education since childhood and had already completed some university courses by self-study. Now he was just completing some necessary journeys in life. After all, it would be too boring to complete all challenges too early, but he didn't expect that there would be a small accident in his life. It was only after he met Wen Yusi that he found her interesting. Wen Yusi was almost shocked when she heard him say that, in many people's lives, his resume is enough to be called colorful, but he just brushed it off in a light stroke. "You are so amazing, they should just be in awe of you." She found an excuse for everything that happened just now. Fu Chuji smiled lightly, but did not explain. Not long after he entered the school last year, many bees and butterflies confessed to him, but he ruthlessly rejected them and coldly retorted. No many people were moved to tears. As the rumor spread, many people were naturally afraid of him. He led Wen Yusi to a private restaurant, but he ran into two people he didn't want to see. "Who is he? Who is he?" Pei Yanche and Song Xingye asked at the same time. Both of them were alert at the same time. No one had ever threatened them like this. Even they didn't feel this dangerous. In the past, they always thought that Wen Yusi would choose one of them to be with, unexpectedly. Wen Yusi chose no one, but another person. Pei Yanche's eyes were strangely cold, and he looked at Fu Chuji without flinching. Song Xingye was like a greedy wild dog. His eyes never left Wen Yusi. They were waiting for her answer. Wen Yusi's heart jumped suddenly, and she didn't expect that she would see them in Beicheng again. "Why are you here? Who he is seems to have nothing to do with you, right?" At this moment, "Shouldn't you be accompanying Yinhe?" she asked coldly. With a bit of inquiry in her eyes, almost subconsciously, she thought that the two of them were going to blame her for Yinhe again. At this time, Fu Chuji comforted her and held her hand, giving her warm strength. When Yinhe was mentioned, Pei Yanche and Song Xingye's expressions were a little unnatural for a moment. Pei Yanche coughed lightly and found a recent photo of Yinhe lying on the hospital bed. "We are not with her. She has received the punishment she deserves." I can explain to you what happened before. In the photo, many parts of He were bandaged up, and some exposed scars were shocking. When Yusi didn't care. So, are you going to seek forgiveness for her? It seems that there is no need for this. She didn't think there was anything else to explain. So she pulled Fuchuji's hand and signaled that he could leave. At this time, Song Xingye tightly grasped her other hand and hurriedly explained, "We are not here to ask for forgiveness for Inhe. She deserves what she is like now. Before, we were deceived by her, so we were so cold to you and treated her well." Song Xingye and Pei Yanche supplemented each other to explain everything that had happened during this period of time, because they were afraid that if they didn't explain, they might really miss Wen Yusi. In two completely different eyes, there was the same sincerity. However, Wen Yusi didn't feel touched at all, but felt it was extremely funny. Are they joking? Or are they lying to her? She couldn't help but sneer. Is this your explanation? It's too ridiculous. Even if what you said is true, the harm I suffered is real. I don't want to forgive you, and it's impossible to forgive you. When Yusi and their childhood sweethearts naturally knew that what they said was true, but it was precisely because of this that she felt that their love for her was really disgusting. The past of the three people she missed so much in the past was completely rotten at this moment. They kept saying that they loved her, but they did everything to hurt her in this year. Her heart was made of flesh, and she couldn't love them unreservedly after being hurt again and again. Therefore, she let it go completely. But now, they told her that the reason they hurt her like this was because they loved her. How ridiculous. When Yusi smiled and wiped the tears from the end of her eyes. She felt sad for her sincerity in the past. Fuchuji comforted her and hugged her in his arms, patting her shoulder gently. Pei Yanche, Song Xingye, mature people who love someone will never treat their loved ones in a way that hurts them. If you really like Yusi, you won't hurt her like that. Also, let me introduce myself. I am Yusi's fiancé. After these words came out, Pei Yanche and Song Xingye were stunned. They almost couldn't believe what they heard. Pei Yanche's eyes were filled with broken emotions, and he gritted his teeth and squeezed out a sentence. Yusi, tell me whether this is true or not. As long as you say it is false, I will believe it. When Yusi also looked at Fuchuji with some surprise, he gave her a comforting look. And when Yusi immediately understood, leaned in his arms, and naturally intertwined her fingers with him. Aren't we showing it clearly enough? My parents have already arranged a baby marriage for us. And now he is my fiancé. Looking at the atmosphere between them that could not be inserted, Song Xingye was so angry that his eyes turned red. Let go, Yusi, be good. Baby marriage can't be taken seriously. We love you very much, so don't deliberately find someone to make us angry. As he said, he reached out to separate their hands. This joke is not funny at all. We did something wrong. You can punish us in any way you want, but don't do this. We can't live without you. Pei Yanche also approached with a sullen face. When Yusi's face changed slightly, and she subconsciously said to Fuchuji, "You go first. I'm afraid they will beat people, and the two of us may not be able to beat them." Looking at Wen Yusi's vigilant eyes, Pei Yanche and Song Xingye were a little frustrated. In her eyes, are they the kind of people who will fight casually? Fuchuji stood in front of Wen Yusi, just making a phone call. Within a minute, several bodyguards appeared and strangled Pei Yanche and Song Xingye to take them away. Don't worry, Yusi, nothing will happen. Pei Yanche struggled to rush to Wen Yusi and took her hand. Come with me, leave here, let's go home. We dropped out of school for you. If you like Peking University, we can come here for you, but you can't be with him. His voice was extremely cold. With an unyielding momentum, Song Xingye also wanted to rush over, but was held down by the bodyguards and could not move. His eyes were fixed on Wen Yusi, as if she was the only one in his life, but she knew that was not the case. She did not need their love like this. Let go. I will not go with you. Your dropping out of school has nothing to do with me. This is your own choice. I don't like you anymore. I have not liked you for a long time. Don't you understand? The straightforward rejection completely broke the hearts of the two. The resistance in Wen Yusi's eyes was very obvious. Fuchuji's blue eyes deepened, and he forcibly pried Pei Yanche's fingers apart one by one. Then the bodyguards quickly stepped forward and clamped Pei Yanche. If Yusi doesn't want to go with you, don't force her. In front of Pei Yanche and Song Xingye, Fuchuji took Wen Yusi's hand and walked into the private restaurant. Are you okay? His gentle voice soothed all the panic in Wen Yusi's heart. She shook her head. It's okay. Thank you for your help. The two sat at the dining table and ate quietly. Their tastes were very similar, and the food on the table was what they liked. Fuchuji paid attention to Wen Yusi's preferences from time to time, helping her pick up dishes and filling her tea. Seeing her lips slightly raised, Fuchuji also curled his lips very slightly, and then looked at a hidden corner inconspicuously. You see, the corner of your lips is a little dirty. Let me help you. The fingertips were slightly rough, rubbing against Wen Yuxi's soft cheek, leaving an indelible touch. She was subconsciously stunned and did not react. It's okay, Fuchuji chuckled and continued to eat. However, Pei Yanqi and Song Xingye, whose mouths were tightly sealed with tape in the corner, were so anxious that their eyes were red and bloodshot. How could he do this? The rope tied around Song Xingye was getting tighter and tighter, leaving marks all over his body. But he seemed to be unaware of it. With only Wen Yuxi in his eyes, Pei Yanqi was no less anxious, and was still trying to find a way to escape. They wanted to snatch Wen Yuxi back. From their perspective, they were kissing behind the looming screen. It was Fuchuji who took the initiative. Yuxi would definitely not take the initiative. She didn't like him. The two of them lied to themselves over and over again in their hearts. After struggling for a long time, they were finally able to escape, but were tied up by the bodyguards again. The two people on the other side of the screen talked happily, and there was an intimate gesture from time to time. The atmosphere was so harmonious that it seemed as if they had been in love for a long time. However, Pei Yanqi and Song Xingye on this side only felt annoyed when they saw each other's faces, looking at each other's embarrassed appearance. They only hated themselves for being powerless. Beicheng is the territory of the Fu family, and the Pei and Song families are unwilling to provide help. Pei Yanqi and Song Xingye are no different from ordinary college students at this time. As long as Wen Yuxi is unwilling to leave, they can't even take her away by force. They hate their own incompetence. But they are also very aware of the gap between themselves and Fuchuji. In the past, they claimed to be geniuses, so they didn't care about anything. They were always very confident even in Wen Yuxi. They never thought that she would transcend their control one day, but Wen Yuxi's actions completely shattered all their confidence. She has withdrawn from this tangled relationship, leaving them alone struggling in the same place. Pei Yanqi and Song Xingye looked at each other and saw the unwillingness in each other's eyes. I don't know how long it took, until Wen Yuxi finished this meal, they were escorted back to Beijing by bodyguards. The two were thrown out at the doorstep without any image. Before the bodyguards left, they left a message. Mr. Fu advises you not to bother Miss Wen again, otherwise you will know the consequences. Pei Yanqi got up silently, not taking his words to heart at all. It is impossible not to get entangled. Song Xingye on the side was locked up by Song's father as soon as he was sent home. One after another family law was hit on him, and his strong back was instantly torn and bloody, but he seemed to feel nothing. Dad, I won't let go of Yuxi. Didn't you support me in liking her before? Why can't you continue to support me now? Song's father slapped Song Xingye in the face and roared. You know that was before. How did you treat Yuxi this year? Have you forgotten everything? Do you know how many times your mother and I went to the Wen family to apologize? It's okay that you are sorry for Yuxi, and it's okay that you were involved with Yinhe, but why do you turn back after doing so much? The face of the Song family has been thrown away by you. It seems that your mother and I spoiled you too much before. From today on, study hard at home and don't go out. Song's father was so angry that his chest rose and fell, and Song's mother quickly rubbed his back. Song Xingye was still stubborn and refused to bow his head. Dad, Mom, I was sorry for Yuxi before. I can bear it myself, and I will ask for her forgiveness, but I will never let her go. He knelt in front of the ancestral hall stubbornly, letting the family law beat him. Song's father was so angry that he slammed the door and left. If he refuses to give up, don't give him food or drink. Song Xingye knelt in the ancestral hall, after an unknown period of time, when he was about to faint. A brick in the corner of the wall loosened. He immediately became alert, gritted his teeth and stood up, pulling out the brick. Let's go. The person opposite the brick was Pei Yanqi. Song Xingye nodded firmly, and with the help of Pei Yanqi, he escaped from the ancestral hall. The Pei family was empty, but there were many things piled on the ground. Each of them carried the memories of the three of them in the past. There were building blocks that the three of them played with when they were young, diaries with their thoughts written down, and, Yuxi has always been soft-hearted, and she will definitely forgive us. We just used the wrong method. And she will definitely forgive us. Pei Yanqi found these things, and there was a little madness in his eyes. Song Xingye looked at it, and was silent for a long time before he spoke with difficulty. Let's cooperate. If it was in the past, the two of them would never say such words when they stood on opposite sides. They didn't even have time to compete, so how could they cooperate? But now, facing the same enemy Fuchuji, they can only cooperate to have a chance to snatch back Wen Yuxi. Pei Yanqi glanced at Song Xingye and said, firmly. In just 3 days, they sorted out all their past memories. Looking at the items that filled several boxes, they were suddenly stunned. For some reason, they were extremely flustered. Subconsciously, they remembered the veil and all that when Yusi threw into the trash can that day. Is it really because of mold? They are still well preserved. How could hers be moldy? Everything that happened in just 2 months before school started echoed in their minds repeatedly. Obviously, there was already a vague answer in their hearts, but they subconsciously avoided it and didn't want to admit it. The three of them grew up together, and this relationship can never be separated. She will not let them go completely. Pei Yanqi and Song Xingye both comforted themselves. Not long after returning to Beijing, they secretly went to North City again, in the library. There is a small room that belongs to Fu Chuji alone. He and Wen Yusi sat face to face, studying alone and occasionally exchanging a few words. After Wen Yusi realized Fu Chuji's super ability, she came to him almost every day to learn. Those knowledge that cannot be taught in books cannot be fully taught by teachers. At this time, he is an excellent helper with his erudition. Wen Yusi wished to be with him all the time and learn from him. The atmosphere between them is not like the couple relationship that everyone talks about, but more like a master and apprentice. This is also the first time that Fu Chuji has met someone who can keep up with his thinking, so he naturally teaches him everything. However, this scene fell into the eyes of Pei Yanqi and Song Xingye, and almost made them jealous. They built a huge, building block castle made of flowers. The castle was transported outside the library. The countless gift boxes inside were filled with their memories over the years. Countless candles dotted the sky, making the whole castle even more dreamy. Pei Yanqi and Song Xingye were both dressed up, wearing suits of completely different styles, but equally eye-catching. They held flowers in their hands and waited nervously. However, after waiting for a long time, several classmates who went up to call when Yusi had gone, but she never came down. At this time, Song Xingye finally couldn't wait any longer, and shouted loudly upstairs, "When Yusi, I, Song Xingye, am here to fulfill my previous promise. You didn't hear the previous confession, and you can't miss it this time." Many classmates were attracted and looked over. Pei Yanqi also continued, "Yusi, you promised me before that you would choose one of us to be together, and now is the time to choose." When Yusi, the protagonist upstairs, saw this scene and was not moved at all. She called the police directly, citing the fire hazard and nuisance. Fu Chuji also helped to find the school's management teacher and called a sprinkler truck. "Do you remember the truth or dare game I said on the night of the class reunion? I said that on the first day of school, I would throw away 2 things. And that is you. No matter how many times I start over, I will not choose either of you." When Yusi came downstairs and stood opposite Pei Yanqi and Song Xingye, saying coldly. As soon as the voice fell, the sprinkler truck drove over, and a stream of water rushed over, instantly extinguishing all the candles. Pei Yanqi and Song Xingye were also soaked. Fu Chuji was quick to take Wen Yusi into his arms and block all the water for her. The beautiful and dreamy confession scene just now instantly became a mess. I don't know how many petals fell when the flowers were washed by the water. The gift boxes were all wet, including some of the objects inside. And water kept dripping down. A carefully prepared confession ended in chaos. Pei Yanqi's hair was still dripping with water, and his stern face was very embarrassed. His pale thin lips moved slightly, and his voice was extremely soft. "Yusi, I'm sorry, we were wrong before. But can you give me another chance? I like you a lot, for many years. You see, these things are proof that I like you. Don't be so cruel, please." As he said, he knelt on one knee and took out the familiar heirloom box. "This pair of jade bracelets can only be yours. If you don't want it, I would rather smash it." A pair of emerald green bracelets are elegant and rich, but Wen Yusi is not moved at all. Song Xingye on the side also hurriedly spoke, "Yusi, I don't ask you to choose one of us again. As long as you leave Fu Chuji, we are willing to love you together. You don't have to be embarrassed, we are all yours." Song Xingye's dark eyes were full of unextinguishable persistence. Then he also took out the heirloom jade necklace. Many onlookers talked about it, but Wen Yusi was unmoved. On the contrary, she thought their words were ridiculous. "Are you crazy? My heartbeat for you has long been extinguished by you. Don't say forgive you, don't say continue to be with you. It's impossible. Give up this idea. Those heirlooms are yours. Throwing them away has nothing to do with me. I don't need them." After saying that, she slapped each of them in the face. Song Xingye's face was as pale as paper. He was seriously injured and was hit so hard that he could no longer hold on and fell straight towards Wen Yusi. However, she took a step back without hesitation and let him fall to the ground. Her cold behavior completely hurt Song Xingye's heart. Even Pei Yenche was stunned for a moment. At this time, when Yusi also said to them for the last time, Pei Yenche, Song Xingye, don't come to me again, I have let it go a long time ago, to me. You are just friends I knew before, I may be with someone else, get married and have children, but that person will definitely not be you. After saying that, she left without hesitation, even if she accidentally stepped on the bracelet that the three of them had woven together before. She didn't feel any pain at all, the resolute attitude was obvious enough. Pei Yenche stared at her back as she left, but he was still unwilling and wanted to catch up with her. At this time, several policemen got off the car and asked, "Excuse me, who called the police, and who got these things?" After some questioning, the police took Pei Yenche and Song Xingye away. A police car couldn't fit so many people, so when Yusi and Fu Chuji said they could drive over to take statements, the group went to the police station, but at this moment, an old van suddenly sped towards the police car. Fu Chuji's driver was a retired Special Forces soldier. He reacted very quickly and drove the car to dodge flexibly. However, the police car was not so lucky. Even though it had evaded flexibly, it was concerned about the vehicles on the side and had a smaller range of movement. The van seemed to have aimed at the police car, with a clear target. It just stepped on the accelerator and rushed towards the back of the police car regardless of everything. If someone could see it at this time, they would definitely be shocked. Now, the woman sitting in the driver's seat of the van is Yin He, but her face and body are wrapped in bandages, and blood oozes out when she moves, which is very scary. Yin He has gone crazy, and she has no desire to live at all. She wants to die with Wen Yusi. When Pei Yenche and Song Xingye withdrew their funding for her, the little savings she had were not enough to complete the repair surgery. Even if she sold all the gifts they gave her, she couldn't find the best doctor. And the effect of the surgery was average. The doctor told her that recovery would take a long time, and her injuries were not particularly serious, but Yin He couldn't accept herself so ugly at all. After returning to Hua University, she could even feel that those people were throwing their hats at her, contemptuous eyes and disgusted eyes. She couldn't stand being so ugly, so she spent money to do a reconstructive plastic surgery. Unexpectedly, she was deceived. Halfway through the operation, the plastic surgery hospital was closed down, her face was ruined and her skin was ruined. Because she was absent from class for a long time, the school repeatedly warned her and finally persuaded her to drop out. She had nothing left, so why could Wen Yusi still have everything? So, she decided to risk everything and make everyone regret it. She saw Wen Yusi communicating with the police and agreeing to take a statement, so she hurriedly got in the car and prepared in advance. Yin He drove a shabby van that no one wanted and crashed into the police car. However, she never expected that there was a man sitting in the back seat of the police car. The people who were stabbed were not Wen Yusi at all, but Pei Yenche and Song Xingye. She rushed forward recklessly, and the entire rear of the police car was dented. The rear window glass was broken, and Pei Yenche and Song Xingye, including the auxiliary police, were all unconscious. It was unknown where the body was pierced, and blood kept flowing, staining the police car red. Yin He in the old van at the back was not much better, with blood oozing from his forehead, and fainted in the driver's seat. For a while, ambulances and police cars kept sirening, even when Yusi was still frightened, and hurriedly asked if Fu Chuji was okay. He hugged her in his arms and patted her comfortingly. "It's okay, we are all fine, and they will be fine too." After they went to the police station to make a record of the call, they waited outside the emergency room of the hospital, waiting for Pei's parents and Song's parents to come. After all, they are friends, so it is reasonable to wait for a while. It was unknown how many days later that Song Xingye woke up. He was slightly injured because he fainted that day and was protected by the police. His injury was not serious, only one leg was crushed and broken. Pei Yenche and the police officer in the back seat were not so lucky. The car window glass pierced Pei Yenche's head, which was very dangerous. Although it did not affect his life, the consequences were still uncertain. The police officer's entire back was pierced by the glass, and his internal organs were ruptured and bleeding. His life was in danger. He had a concussion and his legs were broken. It was originally a scrapped car, so the protective effect was naturally weak. After Song Xingye woke up, he refused to see Wen Yusi. "Dad, let her go. It was not her fault that day, it was He. And now I am no longer worthy of her." The proud young master Song was humbled and frustrated for the first time. He couldn't accept the fact that he was lame in front of her, although he would get better in the future. He still didn't believe it. What if he couldn't be cured? Then he would be lame in front of her for the rest of his life. When he gets better, he will go to find her again, Song Xingye said firmly in his heart. Song's father and mother sighed repeatedly, but they could do nothing but let him go. At this time, Song Xingye suddenly thought of Pei Yanche, so he asked, Dad, Mom, why didn't I see Che? Which ward is he in? How is his injury? Song's father and mother were silent for a long time before telling him the answer. Pei Yanche woke up, but there was something wrong with his brain. As long as he tried to think about something, his head would hurt from time to time. He lay in the ward, silent for a long time, and refused Wen Yuxi's visit. Wen Yuxi, who is it? I don't know and don't want to see her, Pei Yanche said coldly. Wen Yuxi outside the ward heard this and left silently. She felt a little guilty, after all. He bumped into Pei Yanche and Song Xingye by accident because he bumped into her, but she did nothing wrong, so Wen Yuxi left to compensate and left. After noticing her leaving, Pei Yanche in the ward shed tears silently. What he did just now was just pretending. He didn't lose his memory, but his current state seemed to be no different from losing his memory. A person who has always been smart, unable to think normally, can only do nothing. Stupid, how painful is this torture? Even if he was sent in with his head broken, it would not make up for his injuries. How could he compete with Fu Chuji like this? Not to mention, he had done so many wrong things. Pei Yanche lowered his eyes, exuding a painful breath all over his body. If he was only slightly injured, maybe he could use this to pretend to be pitiful and win back Wen Yuxi. Now, he is a waste, Pei Yanche thought in self-abandonment. Not long after, Song Xingye was pushed in on a wheelchair. Both of them had the same disappointment in their eyes, lonely. If it weren't for he, they wouldn't have ended up like this. No matter what, it's better than now. The two looked at each other and saw the hatred in each other's eyes. So, under the pressure of the Pei and Song families, he in prison was in agony, unable to live or die. Pei Yanche and Song Xingye made the same choice, choosing to hide it and not to see her, because in this way, at least they can get Wen Yuxi's apology. Maybe a few years later, when they get better, they can still fight with this apology. However, because of the two people's injury rehabilitation, a year later, the two missed the college entrance examination. They took the college entrance examination again the following year. Song Xingye was admitted to Peking University, but Pei Yanche was only admitted to another university in the North City. This was the result of Pei Yanche's desperate efforts. The injury on the head may be healed today, tomorrow, or never healed. On the first day of school, Song Xingye prepared a surprise again and came to school. However, many classmates were walking to the playground that day, saying that there was something lively, as if someone was holding a wedding. Classmate, can you help me find Wen Yuxi? Song Xingye stood downstairs of the dormitory and asked a girl for help. The girl's shy expression just now suddenly became indescribable. That, you are a freshman, right? Senior Wen Yuxi is holding a wedding today, don't you know? Speaking of Wen Yuxi, the girls seem to have endless gossip. Senior Wen is as good as Senior Fu. She has skipped several grades in a row. Now she has become a graduate student by exception. She may also teach in this school in the future. They often walk together, and they are a perfect match. They confessed their love and proposed to each other at this time last year. The scene was so romantic that everyone envied it. They got married this year. It was so fast. If you go to the playground now, you should be able to see their wedding. Hearing this, Song Xingye almost froze in place, and did not move for a long time. He didn't know when he walked into the playground. In the corner, Pei Yanche also appeared beside him. They looked at the girl in a white wedding dress not far away, and the desire in their eyes never dissipated, but they all knew that it was too late. Now please exchange rings with the bride and groom. 3 weeks ago, he sent a message in the group. He has no. Countless people cheered, and Fu Chuji hugged Wen Yuxi sideways and ran out of the crowd. Are you happy to marry me? Happy? Wen Yuxi replied with a smile. It seems that they don't love each other deeply enough, but they understand each other well enough. The moment two completely different souls touch each other, they know that they are the right people for each other. At some point, Pei Yanche and Song Xingye left silently, heading in two different directions. The three people who were once so close, still separated. They were in the same city. Song Xingye and Pei Yanche often heard about their deeds, but never saw them again. It was said that Wen Yuxi graduated from graduate school and won an international award. It was said that Fu Chuji made the Fu family bigger and stronger, and his marriage with Wen Yuxi was harmonious and happy. It was said that, until one day, Song Xingye and Pei Yanche saw news about the two on TV. countless people envied their love, and even more envied their talents and their trust and understanding of each other. They realized that when Yusi had reached a point that was out of their reach, they had long been impossible.